You found the Taxi Stand Hour.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
On Radio TFI.
Join the conversation. You can reach the guys at 754-800-CHAT, 754-800-2428, on Twitter at Taxi Stand Hour. From a payphone, call collect.
My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
And good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Taxi Stand Hour on Radio TFI and on the Radio TFI streaming network. It is Sunday, once again, because we always do this on Sunday. It's October 24th of 2021. From the Northern Command Studio in Eagan, Minnesota, I'm John Shannon. And from Queens, New York, in the Radio TFI Executive Tower, it is the one and only Ed Van Ness. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, kittens. Oh, we got a little feedback there. Hey, good morning, kids and kittens. It's great to be back. Yes, I make my triumphant return after a 1 week absence. I hope John treated you all well. Oh, we got things to talk about from last week. But anyway, as always, we trust you've had a fine and fantastic week. We're starting off great this week. We got a special guest on the line. We're going to get to him in just a moment. Young Mr. Shannon, how the heck are you today, Pally boy?
Well. We will definitely talk about this adventure a little bit later on in the show, but I found myself I was given the boot by Twitter for a week. I was in Twitter jail, and this is I've spent some time in Twitter jail before, but this is my longest sentence in the Hooskow, if you will. Guess what? I found a pass. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. It will be part of a rant, believe you me. So other than that, life is ducky right now.
Yep. Well, I enjoyed my day off until kickoff, and but let's get right into. We'll talk about all that in an hour or two, and the pain and suffering that I've been going through this past week. I got the London blues. Let me tell you, my fins just not this week. John, what do you say? It's time for your favorite part of the show.
Oh, here, let me mute my headphones here real quick.
It's the Radio TFI Market Watch, brought to you by nobody. Why is nobody sponsoring this? Uber closed the week at $45.51, down $2.88. Lyft closed the week at $54.89, down $6.57. I wonder why it took such a hit. That's been the Radio TFI Market Watch. Please, somebody sponsor me. So anyway, yeah, Lyft took a big dive. Big
I
dive.
wonder why. 4,000 sexual assaults occurring between 2017 and 2019. More than 4,000.
You know, they're number 2, but they try harder.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Well, what do you say? We bring in our special guest?
Yes. Let's go ahead and do that. Guest number 1, please sign in.
I don't know if he gets that.
How are you guys?
It is art now, and we did. I went through this the last time I spoke to you, just because I have old man's memory here. Your first name is pronounced Athan, am I right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, Athanasios Tsirigotis. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. I probably won't try to pronounce your last name because I would do it more of a disservice. Athan is with us here from Western Australia. where I actually was a little surprised. We don't get we get all our fluff news up here around the States, so we don't get to really know unless last time we had any real news from Australia was during the fires, and I didn't realize that for what we're going through here in the pandemic, what you guys are doing down there, it seems kind of crazy. What you were telling me as far as how strict they are as with the lockdowns, and so I wanted you to kind of go through that a little bit and give me your opinion on the matter.
Well, the thing is, down here in this part of the world, we've got several states, and there's no consistency right across the board. So Melbourne in Victoria on the eastern seaboard just came out of the longest lockdown in the world last week on Friday night. So they were locked down for months on end. They've just come out of lockdown and still having very strict numbers if you're going out and so on. That we talk metric over here, so 4 square meters when you're going out, and numbers, caps on numbers in restaurants and so on. In Sydney in New South Wales, they're working on a different system again, and Queensland's had the pandemic go through them. But over here in Western Australia and Perth, well, the state of Western Australia, we're actually segregated from not just the country, but from the rest of the world. We can move out of the state, but the problem is if we move out of the state, we can't get back in. So we've got a hard border, and we've had that hard border for several months now. And our premier over the weekend, and this is the thing, what we know on Friday night changes the next day, if not the following day. And we've got a hard border. My father lives lives between here and in Greece, in Athens, and he's been trying to get back home for a year and a half now. And he's fully vaxxed, the whole bit and everything. You can't come in. Our borders are that tight. You just can't come into the state. People are driving across. It's 4,500 kilometres from Sydney, Melbourne to come here to Perth, and people are driving across the country, getting to the border and being turned away by the police. And the border is in the middle of nowhere. It's in the desert.
So what about trucks and whatnot bringing in deliveries, supplies, and all that?
Well, the trucks are classified as essential services.
Okay.
So they are coming in, but now what's gone and happened over the last month or so, the truck drivers and so on, they're screaming they don't have enough drivers for the trucks to bring the goods over, and the trucks that are getting in, of course, the drivers and their offsiders need to be vaccinated. But we've had instances, okay, 1 or 2, but the thing is, as we know with this COVID-19, it spreads, and we've had actually drivers in the trucks come across to find out that they are carriers of the strain. And
so they're asymptomatic, and they don't find
very
out.
Much so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. And so what goes and happens is we, over this part of the country, we've been very fortunate in the sense of the lockdowns. The last lockdown we had was about 5 days, and that was 4 months ago. And the longest lockdown we've had over here was for around about a 14-day period, and that was last year. But you're on tenterhooks. You just don't know where you're going to. It actually feels, when we're over here, it feels like we're just living day by day, just normal things. But the thing is, we're living in a bubble over here.
All right. So that was my question. So within the borders, you can move about freely, but it's just, you just said it, it's the bubble. It's getting into the bubble. Okay. Now I understand. I wasn't sure if you folks were on a constant lockdown but no, you're free to move about. And what percentage in that state are vaccinated?
As on Friday night's statistics, bear with me, to be exact, is 56.4 to be exact.
Wow.
On Friday night. Yeah.
Honestly, I would have thought under those circumstances it would be higher.
No. We've got the 3 vaccinations, the AstraZeneca, the Pfizer, and the Moderna now. The Moderna that we can have.
Yeah, we don't have AstraZeneca.
Yeah, so we've got the 2 doses. You've got to have the initial dose and then the second dose. But we've got 56% of the population that's been vaccinated. Now, our Premier over the weekend has gone and announced that most of the rest of the country is going to open up by Christmas across the board. We over here in Western Australia are going to stay closed. He has no intention of opening the borders.
Well, that's I'm not sure what to say. By the way, your picture is frozen. That's okay. We've got your voice. That's perfectly fine. I'm sure it'll come back. Maybe I got stopped at the border. Who knows?
Good
but
Lord.
I don't know. I'm trying to think how I would feel about it, because I went through essentially 7 months of, well, I could walk out and go to my grocery store and all that and take care of the essentials. If I wasn't going to the grocery store or going out for my daily walk, I was inside all the time. And, it got to be, look, I kept myself occupied, and we, that's why we started doing a nighttime show, so Uncle Ed didn't go bouncing off the walls. But I'm just surprised that only 56%. It just are there a lot of anti-vaxxers there? Or?
Yeah. It's very, very divided over here. We've only just in very recent times seen the anti-vax protests and so on. They're getting quite heavy and big in the East Coast, but over here in Perth, we're seeing the protests are starting to take momentum on that side of things. We've gotten to the point where the Premier, I think I sent a link to John, but you'll see in the news if you look up Perth and so on in regards to the COVID, our Premier's had, and even last night on Saturday night, we're Sunday night here now, he's had death threats. There's been a guy arrested on Friday, and the tactical police raided his house to find, after the death threats to the Premier he made, and to a Premier over East as well, and to the Prime Minister, that he had a cache of firearms that weren't being kept locked away as they should be, and he's locked up now and going through the court system. But the momentum of the anti-vaxxers is, well, the problem is our Premier, for instance, and I, kudos to the guy. He's doing a very hard job. I'm vaxxed, fully vaxxed. My family is, and so on. So I have no problems with that. But we're being told one thing, and then the goalposts are changing 2-3 days later. We were told that from the beginning that the vaccinations will never be mandatory. And now, in the ever-changing world, we don't know where we're at. We don't know with the virus and so on. So it's very fluid. The whole thing's very fluid.
Well, it has to be, because the virus is fluid. Because it mutates, and people who don't want to get vaccinated catch it, pass it along, and all. Look, I'm sure you're well aware, we have 1 or 2 people in this country who don't want to get vaccinated. You don't hardly see them except for every day and every waking moment. My take on the whole thing is, let's see, you smoke, you drink, you eat foods that can kill you in and of themselves, and yet you're afraid of a vaccination. I
can't figure it out. I mean, to give you an example, my industry, which I come from the taxi industry, and I also have a what we call here a charter vehicle, a town car and limousine service. Now, through the authorities, the other day, and the regulator, we all got an email from them. We get email updates that we cannot, and there's a list just come out on Thursday gone, we in the limousine taxi industry and the rideshare industry cannot apply for hire, but come the end of December, if we're not vaccinated fully, we can't operate our business. We have to stop. And there's a big list of the various industries that before used to be exempt from it. No, there's no one that's going to be exempt from it anymore, and rightly so. I mean,
Yeah,
I've got clients. I've got clients who contacted me asking me if I was vaccinated, and I said, yes, I am. Here's my proof and all. And I turned it around on them and said, well, I've got to look after my health as well. Are you vaccinated? And a few of them said, oh, well, do we need to be? I said, well, doesn't it work two ways?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't understand with something as rudimentary simple as getting a vaccination. Look, nobody is out here trying to say that the vaccinations are perfect. Absolutely not. We don't know. All I know is from what I have seen, everything that I have seen so far is that they are helping. They are keeping people out of the hospital. They are keeping people out of the morgue. Some people still may wind up carrying the virus. There's nothing that said, there's nothing in there that have said in any study that the vaccination was going to stop the virus from actually entering your body. But it only makes sense to me that if you had 75, 80% of the population that was vaccinated, this wouldn't have a chance to mutate like it's doing now. I'm surprised 50 some odd percent vaccinated in Australia. That's worse than we're doing here in America, which really surprises me.
Yeah, no, that's 56% in Western Australia.
Yes.
In the rest of the country, it still fluctuates through different numbers. They were hoping to have 95% of us done by, well, New South Wales now is hitting in the 90%. It's only taken a week or so to get the people harnessed and to go get the vaccinations. To give you an example, now people talk, the anti-vaxxers talk about it's poisoning your system and so on. I'll give you an example. In 2008, out of the blue, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I had just came about and I was given 6 months to live. Ooh. Now, my doctor turned around to me and he said, we can do something here, but it's going to hurt. The medicine's going to be worse than the actual cancer itself. So they went and got an approval and pumped me full of arsenic trioxide, which it's a poison. Wow. So I've had poison shoved into my body, and I've come out the other end feeling pretty ratted, but I'm still here and I'm healthy now. So two little jabs I had a couple of months ago is neither here nor there for me. It's like getting the flu jab.
Hey, Athan, are you familiar with one of our fine politicians by the name of Senator Ted Cruz?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I follow. I keep myself abreast, and like you were talking about, hearing the news in Australia and that. What you find with us down this side of the world, we keep ourselves abreast with what's happening in the rest of the world. Quite.
Well, this happened this week, and I had I printed this out because I was going to touch base on it before I knew that you were going to be joining us today. But I feel it's very apropos. Ted Cruz sent a tweet out. I'll read it real fast here. I love the Aussies. The history of rugged independence is legendary. I've always said Australia is the Texas of the Pacific. The COVID tyranny of their current government is disgraceful and sad. Individual liberty matters. I stand with the people of #Australia. Now, he got a response from, I think it was one of your politicians. But let me go through some of it here. You'll get a kick at it. I don't have who it's from. Hey, Ted Cruz. Good day from the Northern Territory in Australia. Here are some facts. Nearly 70,000 Texans have tragically died from COVID. There have been 0 deaths in the territory. Did you know that? Vaccination is so important here because we have vulnerable communities. and the oldest continuous living culture on the planet. Did you know that? Let's see. It goes on to say, we don't need your lectures, thanks, mate. We know you know nothing about us. If you stand against a life-saving vaccine, then you sure as hell don't stand with Australia. I love Texas, go Longhorns, but when it comes to COVID, I'm glad we are nothing like you.
Yeah, pretty much. Look, if I want
love
to, when you're talking about Ted, when you're talking about Ted Cruz and company, you know, if I really want to have a laugh, I'll go to Disneyland. Thanks very much.
Yeah, but you got to hang on a second because we always play this when we talk about Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
That was John Boehner, former Speaker of the House. Yeah, so, you know, it was just funny that he sends this out aimed at you folks. And, you know, remember, this is a guy when his state was in mortal danger that last winter. One of the worst ice snowstorms ever to hit. Where'd he go? Off to Cancun, baby, because that's what you do.
He jumped on the plane with the family, didn't he? That's right. He hightailed it out of there.
I was protecting my girls. My daughters wanted me to go. That's what he said.
Yeah,
I was doing
I remember
it because
that.
of my kids. Really? What about all the other people's kids that were freezing to death? I don't want to get started on that, but I just thought that, again, it was apropos since you're on here.
Well, look, Ed, you've got to understand that the politicians, they're set among themselves, really. You know, right across the world, especially in the Western nations, it's very much. They wonder why we become apathetic to them, to tell the truth, and what they go and push forward, and especially those ones of Mr. Cruz's ilk.
Well, it's again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse when I say this, but it makes so much common sense. There should be no mandates. You should not have to have a mandate. This is simple. Now, if your doctor can prove or can say, if your doctor can say, listen, if you get the shot, it could be a detriment to your health. I understand that. There are exceptions to every rule, but
John, what you're saying is there are certainly clear-cut medical exemptions.
Yes,
that is not to be questioned. And a lot of those people would love to get the vaccination, but they can't.
Mm-hmm. But the rest of us, there's no reason. It is so easy. It is free, for one thing here.
Same here. It's free, and our vaccination centres are now walk in. You can have it done at the vaccination centres. You can have it done at the local pharmacies, at your doctors.
Right.
It's readily available everywhere. So you don't even have to wait. And they're doing everything, inducements to go in. I mean, you go in there, you're being silly things. Well, they're not silly, but you're giving the opportunity to get an orange juice or an apple juice whilst you're waiting and so on. You're in there for half an hour of your time. That's nothing. Absolutely nothing. I think what it boils down to is a lot of the ones that don't want it don't like to be told that you've got to have it done. That's what it boils down to. Especially the younger set, and those just don't like to be told that you need to have something done. If they were just...
I personally believe it's a lot political, but I think a lot of these folks want a cure as opposed to doing something preventative. They want to say when they get it, oh, give me 2 pills. And see, once they get what I've said this many times here, you claim you don't believe in the science. You don't know what's in this vaccine, blah, blah, blah. You contract COVID. The next thing you know, you're running to the hospital. Well, you don't know what they're giving you in the treatments for the COVID. Now, do you? Of course not. But now suddenly your belief system goes out the window because you don't want to die. No atheist in foxholes.
Yeah, correct. I mean, there's a lot of things that we go and do in our daily business. We don't know what's actually being done to keep us safe and so on, and we don't need to know. We take trust in those we put in those places and so on, whether it be the politicians, the medical researchers, whatever it may be. That's their job to find whether it be a cure, prevention, whatever it is, to keep us safe and healthy. And we have. I mean, it's like someone jumping in my town car. They get in with the assumption that they're going to have a safe ride.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And they know nothing about you previously.
No. And the hoops that I have to go through to have that ability to offer that service, they take it for granted. And that's what we've got to go and do with when it comes to our health of the vaccine and the COVID-19.
Well, I don't know if I said it earlier today. Obviously, I've said it often, but remember, a lot of the folks who are anti-vax are the same folks that are smoking, drinking, and eating every type of food that, that could kill them. They're sitting at McDonald's wolfing down cheeseburgers. And, oh, no, I don't know what's in that vaccine. Show me your degree in immunology that you would know what it was. When I've had discussions with people, at some point I will say, wait a second, you're not an MD, neither am I. Neither one of us have gone to medical school. So let's face it, neither one of us really knows what we're talking about. I just got to go on the good faith of the people that have been tasked to protect my sorry ass and keep me alive, despite pleas from the public otherwise, to keep me going.
Well, what's going to happen over here is the very extensive list of those that must be vaccinated by at the very latest of January next year. If they aren't, they won't be allowed to work. So the inducements haven't worked. Putting the carrot out in front to try and get them to have the vaccine hasn't worked. So therefore, where's it going to hit them the hardest? In the pocket.
That's correct.
If they're not vaccinated, they won't be able to work. It's as simple as that. We have what carries the nation over here is the mining and resources sector. So you go outside of Perth into the countryside, into the bush, as we call it, and you've got the gold, the iron ore, the gas, offshore, onshore, nickel, you name it. What they rip out of the ground here carries this country. Those BHP Billiton, Fortescue Mining Group, a whole lot of them, Rio Tinto and so on, their workers cannot go on site if they're not vaccinated now. And these people, the base wage in those resources sector for driving a truck, Australian dollars we're talking now, is around about $150,000 a year base wage. You can go. So if they're not vaccinated, they're not allowed to get on the planes to go and work.
Right. Well,
so when you're in the hip pocket, that's a different story.
Right. You're absolutely right. And it's been proven. Sweet talking them and all that isn't working now. And we're doing that here as well. You're not vaccinated. This is part of your job requirements now. You don't have to get vaccinated. But if you're not vaccinated, it's just like having the proper. I've tried to explain this to a couple of people. I can't do my job without a particular level of license, driver's license. If I don't have that, I can't work. If I lose that level, then I can't work. It's just that simple. Well, now there's a new requirement. You have to be vaccinated.
This is it.
If you choose not to meet that requirement, that is on you. That is up to you. Yeah. Best of luck to you. And, and it's not even like in the old days, but pre-COVID, you would say, well, we'll see you flipping burgers at McDonald's. McDonald's isn't going to let you work.
McDonald's doesn't want you to know. Exactly.
No. Well, look, guys, I'm born here in Perth in in Australia. I'm of Greek background, Greek origin. I'm first generation. Even my own family, being Greek, I buck the system. Don't you worry about that. I'm the last person that conforms to the rules and so on. My wife was only telling me last night that she couldn't believe that I was one of the first of, within our family and people we know, that went and got, as we call it, the jabs.
Right.
And she said, you'd be, normally I'm the one that won't wait in a queue, won't stand and will push my way or just buck it. But I said, well, it's a bigger picture here. It's not just my health. It's the health of my family. It's the health of the people and the citizens that I live with. I want us to keep safe. It's as simple as that.
Well, it's only common sense. That's what bothers me the most, but it's common sense.
With the exception of the few people still alive from the 1918 Spanish flu or 1917, if you're Donald Trump, none of us have ever seen anything like this before. This is not. I mean, even AIDS didn't spread this fast. And you had to get down and.
You can't go and take into account, Lenin and Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong Il's laying in state. Yeah, that's a bit different. That one. These boys, they've been kept laying in state by, they were dictators and so on. So they're not alive. They've got poisons keeping them there to look at.
That's right. Well, we do everything we can here to try to. It's unfortunate. I have the conversation with people on. In my current line of work, there's a lot of people I'm around, and most people see it for what it is. It's let's get the vaccination. It's nobody wants to wear a mask. Nobody wants to do any of this stuff. But like you said, it's for the greater good.
I remember in New York when you guys had those pop-up morgues all of a sudden in the beginning.
Oh,
that was.
Athen, that was about a mile from where I live.
Yeah, that was scary stuff watching that.
That was the hospital that I go to for stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I got my vaccinations, as a matter of fact, the Elmhurst Hospital. So people have short memories, and, I don't get into the discussion much anymore because, at least here in the U.S., it's very politically motivated, and you just can't seem to. You can't get it through people's heads. Look, you were vaccinated as a kid to go to school. You've done things. The government tells you got to do this, that, and the other thing. Now at some point it's going to become a law. It's going to have to become a law.
Yes.
But again, you're right. The pocketbook is where people are being hit the hardest. I already know a number of people that had to quit where I am because they still refuse to get the vaccination. I know one person walked away from about a $200,000 a year job, 150, 200,000, because of, well, you can't make me. You're right. Once again, you're right. We can't, and we won't. See ya.
Let me ask you something, if I could, Athen. Law enforcement. We have in several communities here in this country, we have law enforcement who are strapping down, and they don't want to get the vaccination for whatever reason. They don't want to have to be told to get the vaccination. Are you having those same issues where you are?
No. To cut a long story short, the police commissioners here in this country, right across the board in the various states and so on, the police officers for law enforcement have to be vaccinated. Simple as that. And if they're not, they're out of a job. And really, unless there's some sort of underground tide of officers there that are rejecting it and so on, we haven't heard that they are. You might find there's one that said no, literally one in the country, maybe two in the country. The rest of them are just getting it done. The police officers, when you're in the vaccination centres, they walk in. When I took my son to get his vaccination, we went in. It took about 40 minutes. There was around about 400 people in front of us, but they were doing it in waves. So you were getting seen very quickly. But the moment a police officer, an emergency worker, fireman, ambulance, whatever came in, they were put to the very front of the queue, done within 2 minutes, and they were gone. So there's no pushback from the essential, we call them the essential services. Right. Those people, there's no pushback from them, and especially the law enforcement. No, it's all good.
One part about all this that sticks in my craw, and John will verify this, is how much are people, or are there a lot of people claiming religious exemptions?
Not here, no. No, not so much.
I hear that.
No.
Because I don't understand. What does it matter what God you believe in? You're still going to pass the virus along.
If anything, not so much religious, it's civil. There's the ones that are using some sort of excuse. We had once again, Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, we had the trade unions from the building sector hold a rally outside the union office, felt that they were betrayed by the union leaders because they were given exemptions. So when Melbourne and most of the country was locked down, various sectors of employment, such as the building sector, was allowed to keep on working. Now, these guys have been told, sorry, you can't work unless you're vaccinated. And of course, we know how strong unions can be, depending on what industry they represent. They went down to their union office and started theoretically wanting blood, if you know what I mean.
Right. It's well, I think we all agree that it's unfortunate that this could have all been over a year ago.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, and we take the hit on this one, because if Knuckle Nuts, the big orange guy, didn't start all this nonsense, I feel that worldwide, a lot of people would, this wouldn't have turned into what it's turned into. It would have been bad. Don't misunderstand me. But I mean, we're well over 700,000 people now. And it doesn't, I've heard people say, well, they classify every death as COVID, even if it was just a minor. It doesn't matter. If we've lost one person to it, that could have been avoided. And I think this is what people are not getting. We're trying to prevent. Forget even if you die, just the contract. We've all heard stories. We've all spoken to people who had COVID. It lasted about a week, but they had a miserable experience with it. Who needs to go through that? And it doesn't mean you won't get it again, and even worse.
Well, just like my friend Rod, he's been in the hospital now well over a month. From COVID, and he is going to survive it, but he's not going to be the same. He may very well be a vegetable. Sorry to use that term, but he's got a long recovery ahead of him after this. And now listen, I preface this by saying I have not spoke to his family, and I do not know whether or not he actually got the vaccination, but I highly doubt it. And he is of that mentality that he'd be the kind that would not get the vaccination. I could almost bet money on it. And it's such a shame. I mean, he was one of the guys that we used to banter back and forth on Facebook all the time about politics, about Trump, about guns, and yada, yada, yada. None of that matters. I would just love to have him alive to be able to have those conversations again. And I don't know if anything will ever be the same with him again.
Okay, John, let's say I had a friend of mine last Wednesday night, a town car driver, limousine driver. He went home from work on Wednesday night. He had a 5 a.m. booking on Thursday morning, didn't turn up to it. They didn't know what had happened. Phone calls went left, right, centre. 9 o'clock in the morning, a friend went to his house, called the police. They broke in so he wouldn't get in trouble or anything. And they found him dead on the lounge. He'd had a heart attack overnight, living by himself. Now, if you feel that you've got something wrong with your ticker, your heart or something, you go to the doctor. You get it attended to. It's all about preventative medicine, isn't it? It's not, don't react when it's happened. You can prevent it. Do that. Now, my view is go get your jab, have it done. What have you got to lose? What's the worst thing that can happen? You're going to die. So why do you want to die? I'd like to see the sun come up a few more times.
Well, to my knowledge, I have not heard of one case of somebody dying specifically from the vaccination they got.
No.
I haven't heard one case of it. Some people have some miserable side effects. God knows I had miserable side effects from it. But you know what? I was up and ready to go by the very next day. I was peachy, and I tell you, I feel better about it. Look, in our professions, Athan, you and I especially now, we spend a lot of time around the public. We don't know what their vaccination status are. Fortunately, a lot of them are wearing masks. I will give you that. I'm going to say that about at least 95% of my passengers get in the vehicle with a mask on. So I give them that at least. But I don't know what their vaccination status is. I've got to do what I can do to protect myself. And that should be the mentality that every individual out there has. And again, it's just common sense.
Yeah, that's right.
So, as they say, tapping out.
Yeah.
Sorry to have woken you up, John.
Yeah.
And,
well, thanks.
You can't go drinking too much bleach either, can you?
Oh, well, no.
Hey, okay. As much as I've said this before, again, I'll say it again. I was watching live that day. As much as I don't want to defend him, he never said drink bleach. Never said it.
No. I'm not endorsing it either.
He said, no, I was watching the press conference. I was watching it live. He said, I think it was inject the disinfectant. I know it sounds. It's just as insane, but
didn't he turn to off camera and look at anyone that was going to give him the answer he was hoping to get at that time?
Yeah, Dr. Birch. She was a nitwit anyway, but turned to her, and she just wanted to crawl into her own skin. She just she was like, how did I get here and how do I get out?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks for putting me in the gig. No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, but no. Hey, good morning, Rolando. Thanks for joining us. Oh no, she was the person most grateful that Trump was out of office was Anthony Fauci, because now he could speak up. Now he could do what he's doing, and look, when Trump got elected, this was my worst fear, that we would have a major crisis and he would handle it poorly. And I hate to say it, but I was right.
Yeah.
This was not the guy, anybody else. The example I enjoy using is George W. Bush. I didn't care for him at all, but on September 11th, he was my president. He was doing what he had to do for everybody, not just for Republicans. He did it for everybody. Again, not one of my favorite politicians on the planet, but at that time, he was my president, and he led. He did what he had to do. He led, as opposed to divide. But anyway, let's not get into American politics because
no, we can go on forever on that one.
Pretty much.
So, Athu, what else is going on with you down there? And it's summer down there right now, isn't it?
We're just starting into summer. Yeah, it's the good weather is just sort of kicking in with a few. We had a beautiful weekend just go, and we've got a few rainy days coming this week. But we're all getting our backyards, our front yards, our swimming pools all ready for summer.
Excellent.
And the only problem down here, to give you an example, is they're telling us to do all our shopping early because no containers are coming into port with there's in Fremantle Port, just out of here. I live right near the beach, and I go to the beach and look at the ships out at sea there waiting to berth. And we've got around about 86,000 containers waiting to come into our city.
Wow, how many boats is that?
That's around about 32 boats outside.
Wow.
If you buy a brand new vehicle, whether it be a Toyota or whatever, at the moment, there's around about between 6 and 8 month delivery date if it's available. As we know, the chips aren't there for them at the moment. But if you're able to get a vehicle built, it's 6 to 8 to 12 months maximum at the moment.
Wow. Well, this is the world we live in now, and I'm just looking to get another 15 years out of it. Then it can all go to hell as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm looking to retire at 70. I want to get a couple years in after that. Beyond that, have at it, kids and kittens. Do what you got to do. And, I'm hoping to have a front seat when the meteor hits. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Well, that's true. There's nothing wrong with that. I've dodged the bullet twice, so I'm not a cat. I don't have 9 lives, and I'd like to keep on going for a few more years yet. So
I've been there and done that. It ain't so bad.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good, guys. We're all good.
Anyway. Well, we were gonna. You guys don't have Lyft down there, do you?
No, we don't. No. So we've got a range of other ones. We've got the the big one that is
right.
No need to keep on advertising the name all the time. And then we have a few offshoots. We've got Didi, which is the Chinese one. We got Ola. We've got some homegrown ones that just they what it's like. Everyone thinks they can jump on the bandwagon and they see one gypsy taxi come out there, so they reckon they can all do it, and it just doesn't work. So we've got a range of them. Right, and John and I have discussed this on multiple occasions. From the outside, how hard could it be? I can drive a car. I mean, all I got to do is put gas in the car, right? Put a little petrol in, and away we go. And I'll just be making money hand over fist. Yeah. Come on, boys, come and show me to do it. Yeah. It's because Lyft has finally joined its bigger brother in the how many sexual assaults, John?
Over 4. What did I say? Over 4,000. Yeah,
this report came out recently,
and that's the ones and that's the ones about too.
Ones that are reported.
Yeah,
that is correct. And it's what's funny. Well, not funny, but now we all know we were all in the business long enough. You guys are still involved. I'm out of it, but we all knew drivers over the years who were getting themselves doing things they shouldn't do. Maybe these incidents weren't reported. And I'm never to say that the taxi drivers of the world were not above this kind of nonsense. Mm-hmm. But geez, the reports that how is this, because there's no background checks for starters, but how is it, even if you say, well, half of these are just phony reports, people just looking to get a free ride. Okay, fine. It's still a massive number.
We all had that, didn't we? You'd get people complain that you took the wrong way, you did this or that to get a free ride, to get a discount. We're seasoned at having that sixth sense.
But I'm just saying, for the amount of people that have filed or made claims on Uber and Lyft and all of them combined of sexual assaults and all that, it just dwarfs any numbers I've ever heard about the taxi industry. Again, the taxi industry has that. It's a much smaller problem, though. I mean, it's a big problem if it happens to you, but we don't. The numbers were never there like this. Sure, you got 1 or 2 here and there, and all that.
There's one word to it: regulation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. There's no question about it. Again, we could go on and on and on.
Regulation and professionalism.
I still stand by the statement that I think that a lot of guys got into the ride share. We have friends that are that follow us here and have been on this show from the ride share part of things.
Yeah. All is forgiven.
Yeah. I can't help but think that there weren't at least a percentage of them that got into this just looking for their next hookup, looking for that next ex-wife or whatever. Yeah. It was a way to get out and socialize with people that probably would be staying in their grandma's basement otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Afton, We're going to do what we call here an emergency bat turn. I'm not going to play the effect though. So since we're getting close to the top of the hour, and I want to lighten up the mood a little bit. Okay. So as you're probably familiar, every week John and I pick football games. John and Ed versus the spread. Do you know what? Would you like to join us this week? Would you like to pick a couple of games with us?
I couldn't because I know of your game, but I have no idea of players, of teams, and so on.
Pick a city.
Pick a city.
Pick a city.
Okay. I'd have to go somewhere in West Virginia. So what's in West Virginia? Who's out that way?
There's nothing in West Virginia.
Closest one to the Washington football team.
That's where that's where my family lives in the United States, in West Virginia, in Morgantown. That's all.
Okay, we're going to go with Carolina for you. That's
okay. That'll do.
Carolina is playing the New York Football Giants today, and Carolina they're favored, and I don't have the number in front of me. So they're the visiting team today, the Carolina Panthers. And they're going to be playing. Are you familiar with the point spreads?
No. I'm all. No, okay. You give me.
The point spread is something that the bookies give a competitive to put money on. In other words, the team
the odds.
Yeah. The team is now Carolina is favored by 3 points. In other words, it's like the New York team is starting with 3 points already on the board. So
I understand.
Would you like to pick the Carolina Panthers or the New York Giants? With the Giants, you get 3 points. With the Panthers, you lose 3 points.
I'll go with the underdogs. I'll go with Carolina.
They're the favorite.
Carolina's the favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Give me
3 points.
Give me the other boys.
Give you the what?
Give me the other team. I always like the underdogs. So.
Oh, okay. You're taking the Giants then, plus 3.
I'll take the Giants.
Well, then you should have been picking the Miami Dolphins.
No.
There's your ultimate underdog.
No, I want someone that's going to be able to get out of the water, not drown.
Hey! You know, up here in this part of the world, when I get a shot from down under, it hurts more. It just hurts more.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, okay, fine. We've got Athan. I bet he does better than us, but not the
probably.
Computer. I think sometimes ignorance is the best one, isn't it?
Oh, well, that's why this show is.
That's how we've been using it for the last 5 years almost.
Yeah, when you're putting money down, it seems to be ignorance is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Athan. We're gonna cut you loose here. I'm so glad you joined us today.
Take care. Look, I'm sorry I froze up on the view screen as well, but
that's okay. No problem.
That's all right.
Like I said,
I didn't want to touch the buttons in case I got put out into the abyss.
It's perfectly fine. Again, you got a hard border there. We got audio out. Yeah. That's fine. Well, once again,
it's going through Russia.
There you go.
As always, we appreciate you being part of our little family here. And next time, wear the hat.
Well, actually, I was wearing it all day today. I had to wash it. So I was just about to say, with the summer really? And this nice shiny head that I've got, don't you worry, wear the hat every day.
Mind there.
What you need to do is get them on a sombrero.
Oh, okay.
We'll keep that in mind.
We'll talk to Gil Christ.
Take care, guys.
That. Take care, Adam. Okay. Thanks again, pal.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you there, Athan, for joining us. What's wrong with our screen here now? There it is. Oh, well, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It really was. By the way, we do have a couple of people I know for a fact that are listening, watching, and everything. 754-800-CHAT, 754-800-2428 is the number if you want to join in. We got a few more minutes here before the the top of the hour. And Bill says, nice interview. Thank you. Rolando says basically the same thing. Thanks.
Thank us. Thank Athen.
Yeah, no kidding. Exactly. We had a great time with that. We like bringing guests into the mix here. Last week I had when I was doing solo, had 2 guests that pretty much carried me through the whole thing. That was a lot of fun because those were pre-recorded segments, and I got to sit back and just kind of watch the thing. Actually, even the football picks was pre-recorded. 3/4 of the show was pre-recorded, and oh my God, I put the feet up on the desk and had a great time with it.
Well, more than that, if you count the fact that we had to do the picks twice because somebody didn't press the record button.
Yeah, well, can I say now? Yeah, right. Okay.
Speaking of last week, I don't know if I should bring this up now or wait till the next hour.
I'm
going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up
now, and if we need to go into hour number 2 to bring it out, so be it.
So in John's interview with, what was the lovely young lady's name?
Cleo.
In John's interview with Cleo from Topless Topics, it came out that a member of this radio station's executive staff has been or will be or is currently part of the clothing optional crowd.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, about 30. Yeah, well, there you go. About 30 years ago, I lied when I was doing the interview. I told her it was 20 years, but I realized that's not the case. About 30 years ago now. I was part of that. It started out with the fact that I loved going to clothing optional beaches. I love swimming. I love swimming nude. It is what it is. Nothing perverted about it. How do you think your great grandpappy when he went down to the swimming hole? How do you think that
we didn't go to the swimming hole? We were in the Netherlands.
Oh well, you mean tell me they didn't have swimming holes there?
I'm not telling you nothing.
Okay, I mean it's silly. I mean we've over sexualized nudity here
in all seriousness, I'm going to cut you off here. It was just
what you do best.
It was just I wasn't expecting it when I heard it.
I knew it would floor you.
It now, not to say that I have not been to a clothing optional beach. I have, and my buddy who was a naturalist, he had been inviting me for years. One day I said, "Okay, let's go." He said, "I was quite proud of you. You just dropped your arm, and that was it." And I'll tell you what, except for the strippers at the end of the day on the beach running around, you're right. It wasn't highly sexualized at all. But seriously, the strippers showed up, and man, that was I'm having flashbacks now. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, good Lord. No, I totally agree with anybody. Now, look, I'm not saying that everybody should be able to walk down the sidewalk with their junk hanging out or anything like that, but we have overly sexualized women's breasts for a long, long time. You remember, as Cleo said, back in the early 1900s, even men couldn't go swimming without a shirt on. So I wonder what happened. But anyways, more on that, maybe not in hour number 2. We're going to take a little break, so we'll be back. You're listening to the Taxi Stand Hour on Radio TFI.
TFI.
You found the Taxi Stand Hour
The worst talk radio I've ever heard in my life.
on Radio TFI.
You talk too much. You talk too much.
Join the conversation. You can reach the guys at 754-800-CHAT, 754-800-2428, on Twitter at Taxi Stand Hour. From a payphone, call collect.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
As the executor of Mr. Muldoon's estate, I have been empowered to read Mr. Muldoon's last will and testament.
Well, get on with it. The bar's open soon.
Oh, poor dear Arthur.
Oh, there, Jenny. God, how predictably boring.
I never worked for a kinder man.
If we are all seated, I shall proceed with the reading.
I knew it.
I, Arthur Durham Muldoon, being of sound mind and body,
That's a laugh.
do hereby divide up my considerable estate as follows. To my overly emotional sister, Jenny,
Jenny, darling, he's talking about us.
Oh.
who grubbed with her husband Hank, grubbed for everything they could get from me, and then cried crocodile tears when I needed sympathy.
What?
To Jenny, I leave a boot to the head.
A what? Ow!
Jenny, are you okay?
And another boot to her wimpy husband Hank.
Ow! This is an outrage.
But still, you are my sister. You have both admired my Rolls Royce, and since I no longer need it,
Oh, dear Arthur, he's too kind.
I bequeath another boot to the head.
What? Ow!
And one more for the wimp.
Ow!
Next to my alcoholic brother,
Hey, I don't want no boot to the head.
to dear Hedge, who has never worked a day in his drunken life,
I'm covering up my head.
I leave my wine cellar and 3 crates of my finest whiskey.
Really?
And a boot to the head. Oh! And another for Jenny and the wimp. Next, to my know-it-all nephew Ralston,
This is so predictable.
I leave a boot to the head.
Ugh, I knew it.
And one for Jenny and the wimp.
Oh!
This takes care of family obligations. And now to Mrs. Mulroy,
Oh, I don't want nothing.
who took care of me faithfully these many, many years, who cared, made me laugh, brought me tea.
Oh, I didn't mind.
To Mrs. Mulroy, I bequeath a boot to the head. And one for Jenny and the wimp.
Oh!
And so to my cat Mittens, I leave my entire vast boot to the head. And finally, to my lawyer, who has helped me on this will, I leave not a boot to the head, but a rabid Tasmanian devil to be placed in his trousers. And I leave my entire estate of $10 million to the people of Calgary so they can afford to move somewhere decent.
Is that it? That's it?
That's disgraceful.
There's one last thing for everyone.
Cover your heads, everybody.
I leave everyone a lifetime supply of ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream, that's all?
That's all.
Well, what flavor is it?
Boot to the head.
People talking in movie shows. People smoking in bed. People voting Republican. Give them a boot to the head. Boot to the head! Boot to the head! Boot to the head! Boot to the head! Mechanics who can't fix a car. Politicians who can't think. The salesman who won't leave me alone. The waiter who forgot my drink. Boot to the head! Boot to the head! Boot to the head! Boot
It is. And welcome back. You're listening to the Taxi Stand Hour on Radio TFI and on the Radio TFI streaming network. Once again, from the Northern Command Studio in Eagan, Minnesota, I am John Shannon. And from Queens, New York, for those who are new to the show, I've never actually met this guy in person, believe it or not. We've had this long-distance relationship for the last 5 years, almost. Anyways, it is the one, the only Ed Van Ness. Once again, good morning, sir.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's certainly all news to me. We've never met in person. True.
We've never met in person.
How do we manage this? Good morning, kids and kittens. Welcome back. Again, we'd like to thank our pal Athan for joining us and spending the hour one with us. We'll get to all our other silliness that we normally would do in hour one shortly. Pop-Tart.
Oh, good. And he bitches at me if I decide to eat while we're doing this.
Because you chew like a cow.
Excuse you? Really?
There's no excuse for me, and we all know that.
Well, this is very true. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, what do you say?
What do you say?
We dive into this foray of pigskin procrastination.
No.
What?
Pigskin procrastination. Why I oughta.
It may as well be. Let's face it.
No one is procrastinating anything here, sir. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Okay. So in other words, so you want to do this now? Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes, let's do this.
You ready for this now?
Ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay. Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Now.
Anytime. Come on.
Anytime. Well, how about 20 minutes from now? That'll be any time.
Good Lord. Why me?
Why not? It's time for John and Ed versus the Spread, your weekly foray into the exciting world of pigskin.
Prognostication. How's that for you?
Prognostication. Thank you. Each week, John, too many men on the field, Shannon and Gerald, the supercomputer who wore tennis shoes, and I will choose professional football games and select winners using the point spreads. At the end of the season, the winner will claim possession of the Radio TFI Gil Christ Ceremonial Sippy Cup. We can earn extra points by going for it with a 2 or 3 point conversion if we have the nerve.
What's a virgin have to do with this? A conversion.
Ladies and gentlemen, kids and kittens, it's John and Ed versus the Spread. Well, Mr. Annoying, John Shannon.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Let's start things off, shall we? Let's look at the leaderboard where we are we're being beaten. We're not yet trounced, but beaten by a computer. We ended last week. John and I tied for last place with 6 points. And Gerald, the supercomputer who wore tennis shoes, is leading the pack. Excuse me. I'm having a mild issue here. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. He's leading the pack with 7 points. Last week, let's take a look at last week's numbers. Oh, look at that. That's not last week. Oh, I did it again. I messed up.
Yes, you did.
I done messed up. That was supposed to be last week's numbers, and it's not. So I have to read it off the. So last week, John picked up 1 big point He would have picked up 2 big points, but he decided to get greedy by going for 2 with Jacksonville against my Miami Dolphins. And you would have picked up a second point there, Pally boy.
Well, hey, I was looking to rub as much salt in the wound as I possibly could muster there. So
now I also picked up 1 point. The Cincinnati Bungles destroyed the Detroit Liedowns 34-11. And this is going to be important later on in my picks. You'll see. And now Detroit got trashed by 23 points. Meanwhile, Gerald picked up a point with the Monday Nighter. He took Seattle +5. Pittsburgh only won by 3. So there you go. Gerald picked up a point. And this is where we stand right now. We are all pretty much in a wee bit of a tie. So let's get to this week's numbers. There's the week before. No, I'm confused. There we go.
This is the right one.
This is the current one. All right, John. Let's as we take a look at this. Let's. Oh, wait a minute, Gerald. You got something to say?
Good morning, gentlemen. How does it feel to be losing to a computer?
Ooh, harsh words. Harsh words from Gerald. John, go ahead with your first pick.
My first pick. First off, this was tough for me because my Vikings have the week off. They're playing that bye team, a game that they will definitely not lose. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a tie with bye. Ooh, like that, huh? Did you like that? Anyways, I'm going to take the first game I'm going to go through is the Kansas City, Tennessee game. My Kansas City Chiefs are 4-point favorites going into Tennessee. I don't like that. Kansas City just isn't the same thing. It's Mahomes and nobody else right now. Maybe a little Kelsey, but there's really nothing too impressive so far. I'm going to take Tennessee getting 4 points at home against the Chiefs.
Yeah, you're not really having a lot of faith in your chefs this year, are you?
Well, no, they're not showing me a whole lot so far.
Or your Vikings. I'm going to start off the week. I'm going to take the Patriots are giving up 7 points at home against the Jets. I don't care that the Jets have won 1 game in a row. I think Mac Jones is playing so well. The Patriots are like 2-4, 3-3, something like that. But there's still, but John and I are better than the Jets. So that's where we stand with that. Let's get Gerald's first pick.
My first pick this week is the Chicago Bears, getting 11.5 points over the Tampa Bay Brady Bunch.
How about that? The Tampa Bay Brady Bunch. Gerald's getting a little. It's his second week on, and he's getting a little antsy there, isn't he?
He's developing a sense of humor. Please,
there he is. Go ahead, Joe. With your second pick.
My second pick is going to be the Green Bay Packers hosting that Washington football team. I think it's plain to see that the Packers are getting to be the class of the NFC Norris division. And 8 points, I could have almost went double on this one. I think I'm going to take the Packers. I'm going to take the Packers giving up 8 points.
I don't know. Those 8 points worried me. I think I took Washington on my personal picks. My second pick is involving the other New York team, the Carolina Panthers. Come here to the Meadowlands, the Metrolands, visiting the New York Football Giants. I am taking Carolina, giving up the 3 points. By the way, coincidentally, this is the game that Athen picked. He's taking the Giants, getting 3 points. So this ought to be interesting.
He likes those underdogs.
He likes those underdogs, and he doesn't know a thing about football. And I get a feeling he's going to prove that he knows more than we do.
I think you're right.
Gerald, let's hear from Gerald for his next pick.
Okay. Next, I'll take the visiting Colts, +4, over the San Francisco 49ers.
There you go. I think that's the Sunday night game this week. So good for you, Gerald. John, Let's hear your final pick.
I can't believe it. I'm going against all better judgment here, as Tua Threa and the gang are hosting the Dirty Birds from Atlanta. Now we got to clarify this. Are we going with 2 points or 2.5 points on this one?
We're going with. Actually, it showed 2.5, so we're going to go with 2.5.
Okay, that's fine. So Atlanta's a 2.5 point favorite. I think the Dolphins might do it, folks. I think this is their time. I'm going to take the Dolphins and get 2.5 points. And if they lose this game, I'm referring Starkist right back to that tuna tank there in Miami. So
that joke was old the first 12 times you told it last week.
Yeah, well, get ready. It's going to happen another 12 times.
Taking at least you're taking my Dolphins. Your confidence is inspiring, sir. I will pass that along to the team. My final pick of the week. I really struggled on a third pick this week. There are a lot of big dogs this week. Lots of big dogs. Big dog. Big dog. Woof woof. That's correct. And Arizona's playing great. They're kicking ass. They are taking names. And I needed to reach out for something. So I'm getting 18 points with Houston over the Arizona Cardinals. And let me tell you what, I'm not comfortable with that. I struggled on my personal picks. I looked at that game and I kept going back and forth on it. Just the Texans, are stinking out the place this year, and the Cardinals are not. So, all right, those are our picks. Gerald, what do you got for your final pick?
You guys are making this too easy. Finally, the Detroit Lions head to Los Angeles to play the Rams, getting 16.5 points. I like those Lions. Good luck, gentlemen.
I thank you, Gerald. Always a gentleman. So let's recap. John is he's taking Green Bay, giving up 8 points at the frozen tundra. Well, not so frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. He's given up completely on his Kansas City Chiefs. Great googly moogly. Taking the 4 points with Tennessee at home. And finally coming to his senses, taking the Dolphins, getting 2.5 points. And by the way, I gave him an extra half point over the visiting Dirty Birds Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, I'm taking the I'm giving up on the hometown. What am I saying? Giving up? I gave up on them 40 years ago. I'm taking the Patriots, giving up 7, hosting the New York Jets. Carolina comes here where I am, to visit the New York Football Giants. I'm taking Carolina, giving up 3 points. Meanwhile, our pal Athan is taking the Giants, getting 3 points. So this will be interesting. Finally, for myself, it's man, Houston getting 18 points. A very uncomfortable 18 points. I don't feel like. Finally, Gerald. Gerald went with some big dogs this week. He's taking Chicago, getting 11.5 points against this. He says the Tampa Bay Brady Bunch in Tampa. The Sunday night game, the Colts visit the 49ers. Niners! He's taking the Colts, getting 4 points. And finally, man, it's another big dog. The Detroit Lions visit Los Angeles to play the Rams, getting 16.5 points. Excuse me. And Gerald likes those. Likes that 16.5 points. So that's going to do it for this week, kids, for John and Ed versus the spread. Enjoy the games this week. And remember, if you're going to bet real money on these games, when it comes to taking advice, John, what should they take advice from us? John's muted, so we'll find out later.
Oh, sorry about that. That happens. Seems to happen at least once a show here. Have you noticed that?
It's a thing we're doing. Should they take our advice, John?
Maybe Gerald's.
Maybe Gerald's advice. That could be. And that's going to do it for John and Ed versus the spread this week. And for those of you listening live, we will lay in the music later. Okay, that's it. I am cautiously optimistic about the Dolphins today. I think they got a shot against the Falcons. Then again, I thought they had a shot really against everybody so far.
Well, who was it that picked them to go to win the division? Something about he wanted to hedge your bet or some damn thing, and wanted to. You were just gung ho. You were just gung ho. Of course, I was gung ho against for the Chiefs too. So we're both in the same boat.
They were preseason. They were the team. They were the team to beat, man. I mean, they had it all going on. And remember, I've been watching them forever and ever and ever. So it was, to see what we've been doing, see where we've been, see where we are, where we were at the start of the year. And it's just been, I mean, the 35-0 bashing we took at the hands of the Bills, while unpleasant, was not unexpected. But to lose to Jacksonville by a really cheap field goal that this guy had no business making. Look, you can't complain about a last-minute kick like that because we should have been beating the tar out of them the whole game. It never should have come down to a field goal. And somebody left comments for us. Oh, thank you, Bill. Yes, the rocket scientist part of this show.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of work goes into that, Fancher. I want you to know a lot of work goes into that. All righty? Your boy sits here and produces that segment every Saturday night. There's work involved. And if you don't like it, it don't matter. Just keep watching it.
There you go. Absolutely.
We got stuff, John. We got stuff that normally would be in hour one. What do you say we get to some of this stuff?
Let's want to go ahead and get some of this here. Yeah, I still want to talk about Twitter jail, though. So,
oh, that's right. Well, stop the presses. Stop the presses. It's oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about this.
Yes, it's true. All right, that's starting to get annoying. Thank you. That's a little better. Yes, your boy, known on Twitter as Shannon Radio TFI, has been jailed. First, it started out with just a 12-hour sentence. I go back to log in after the 12-hour. Actually, I gave it 13 hours. Come back to find that now I have a week-long sentence. They piled another week on top of this, on top of the 12 hours.
They heard you shib the guy in the shower.
Yeah, well, it could very well be. But
John's in the pokey. He's in the pokey.
You're in the jailhouse now. He's in the jailhouse now.
Could be somebody's prison, bitch.
So it was all over this tweet here, folks, where I said, you see, well, let me read the tweet real quick. At RSB Network, as you seem to be the communications proxy for Donald Trump, pass along this message, if you would. Fuck off and die, Trump. Well, they didn't like that too much. I don't know if it got reported. I don't know. You see, here's the thing. Okay, Donald Trump supposedly has been banned from social media. No Twitter, no Facebook. Supposedly he's starting his new social media endeavor here sometime in 2022, and we don't know. People are already messing with it, so I think it's funnier than hell. But meanwhile, okay. So Donald Trump is no longer on Twitter. So instead of him being able to tweet directly, he has messages that are being picked up by certain Twitter feeds. One of them is RSB Network, and I think it's called Right Side, and there's one other word in there that I don't know, but it's RSB Network. Who every time Trump puts out one of his statements, and when it's on the Twitter, it looks a little something like this. He'll say they'll tweet a statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th president of the United States of America. And he'll go on, it'll show whatever garbage he was spewing. So I finally had enough of it. I finally had seen, unfortunately, the only reason I even saw it, because I don't follow RSB Network, but unfortunately, I do have a couple of other accounts on Twitter that I tend to. One of them does follow. They're a little bit more right-leaning, and they follow this garbage. And so I happened to see that tweet, and I'd had enough. I'd just, if Donald Trump is supposed to be banned from Twitter, then forget this proxy stuff. Forget this whole idea of, okay, I'm going to take it upon myself to tweet out something whenever he makes a statement. That is really no different than if Donald Trump was making that tweet himself. You can't tell me that there isn't something under the table where Trump knows and approves of the fact that this RSB network is forwarding his tweets to the audience of social media. And
I can tell you that.
You can. Okay, do tell.
He's a former president. Any statement he puts out is construed as news.
Well, then why isn't the rest? Why isn't ABC or CNN or Fox News even? Why aren't they putting?
They don't They don't show everything that happens in the world.
Well, I'm telling you that I think that this is a little under the table deal.
God, I want to see him crawl into a hole and die. Okay. That being said, if I'm a news outlet, or even if I'm not, okay, we could put it out there. This is newsworthy in our editorial opinion, and we're going to share this with the world. Do I agree with it? No, but that's the basis that they're standing on here, and which is why you became somebody's prison bitch.
Well, it's like I was saying pre-show. I think I'm going to keep it. So far Twitter hasn't given me any grief about basically using the same email address and the same information that I've used on the primary account. I don't like the fact that gone are what have I got, about 2,200 followers, which is peanuts, but still, for a schmo like me without a blue check mark, that's not bad. I lost all that.
Now hold on a second.
Now,
when you are released and they give you your $20 and your new suit and take you to the bus station, you just go in and you change the name. You've done it before. We both did it the same day.
It's good. That's a good point.
Thank you. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the good points. You're here for the bad points.
But there's only one other thing I want to point out with that.
I'm sure there's more than one.
Well, the fact is what I have done now is I've gone through the list of people that I follow, and I've gone through my list of followers from that old account. And I've had a chance to say to myself, well, why am I following this person? Why am I following that one? It's just over time. I've had that account for over 10 years. Over time, you pick up followers, and you wind up following people that they don't ever have anything constructive to say, or all they're doing is laying out a bunch of spam. And and I haven't done a good job over the years of pruning it, if you will.
So
well, now I've got now I've got a chance to. Now I will go, and I will go through the list a few more times, and I'll go see if there's a follower or two, or somebody that I was following before I'd like to hear from this person. But I think I'm going to leave things the way they are. I like it.
Right. We'll talk about it some more off air. I have a few ideas for you.
You always do.
I always do. I always come through for you, whether your pants are on or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So look, we're going to have problems here down the road, because as an ex-con, we have to. There are certain things that have to be taken into account. Now, you won't have full access to the transmitter room. You're only going to be allowed on the first 2 levels of the vault. We can't let you down where the sensitive stuff is. That's, hey, look, you made a mistake.
You better change the locks, bitch.
And this is why. This is why nobody wants to hire ex-cons. You're not technically, you're an escapee right now, okay? Somebody call the FBI, or somebody call the TBI, the Twitter Bureau of Investigation. Let's get him on the phone. John's gonna crumble every time he hears that sound now. They found me.
It's so funny with Twitter, because and look, I've said it myself many times. It's their game. I broke their rules. I will be the first one to admit it. I got carried away. Exactly. Look, I make no bones. I've said it more than once on this show. I think that Donald Trump should succumb to lead poisoning. And that's, if it weren't for the fact that it would make him a martyr, I would be all for it. Don't get nervous over there.
Look, I'm waiting for the Secret Service to kick my door down just because I'm associated with it. All right, that's enough of that. Let's talk about some real knuckleheads, okay? You're just a part-time knucklehead. By far and away, as much as enjoyment as this man has given me over the past couple of years, Mike Lindell has finally hit knucklehead rock bottom.
This is different now than before.
Why is it?
This is different now than before. That when we get there, we're launching it 2 days before Thanksgiving. You know why? So that the whole world's going to be watching. Now, are they going to accept it that day? No. But guess who's going to talk about it for 4 days over Thanksgiving? Every person in the world, not our country. Everybody's watching for this. Those 9 Supreme Court justices, they're going to sit back and go, are we going to accept this? They're there to protect our country. They've lived the American dream. They see it was attacked by a foreign country. They're going to say, bring it on in, 9-0 to look at it.
First off, is he sitting in a display case in Office Depot? Second off, the rest of the world does not celebrate our Thanksgiving. Yes, Bill, you're correct. Put the pillow over his face. Third off, the Supreme Court is not sitting there waiting for you. That's not how it works. You just don't ring up the Supreme Court and say, hey, I got a case for you. It don't happen that way. And fifth, or whatever number we're up to, Supreme Court is not in session that week. Somebody, look, this man, this is his new addiction. His first addiction was crack cocaine. Now it's, how's this nonsense?
Now it's just being an idiot.
And he's very good at it. But I mean, that was the first time when I saw that video, I looked, I said, my God, he's at Office Depot. I'm sure there's a skinny kid with a earpiece named Seth calling his manager. Oh, boss, there's a guy sitting in the office section. We can't get him to leave. You know.
And I have a theory, by the way, about the whole thing with crack cocaine. Let's face it, he does have a few $1 million in his coffers. You know, crack cocaine is a cheap man's high. Or a poor man's high, excuse me. He's probably moved on to bigger and better things, and that's why he's still an idiot. You can't tell me he's kicked any kind of addiction. He's just moved up.
It's a different addiction. Oh, that's all it is. Different. Hey, while we're at it, let's talk about another one of the gang that couldn't shoot straight, getting his ass handed to him by Representative Jamie Raskin this week.
Do you oppose the use of criminal contempt charges against people who refuse to testify before Congress?
No, we've used it. I mean, we contempt Lois Lerner after a year of hearings and investigation.
You sure did, didn't you? You said the U.S. attorney had a legal duty to go to the grand jury, didn't you?
Well, it says shall. When the Congress voted for contempt, it says shall go to the grand jury. That U.S. attorney didn't.
That's right. And you also said the U.S. attorney unilaterally decided to ignore the will of the House of Representatives.
It's true.
You said Mr. Manchin was legally bound to convene a grand jury, but indeed he ignored his obligation and unilaterally decided to ignore the will of the House of Representatives. Don't you think it's important that when we're exercising our Article 1 powers to get the evidence we need in order to legislate, that people obey the subpoenas of the United States House of Representatives? You used to believe that, Mr. Jordan. Do you no longer believe that?
Mm-hmm.
Jim Jordan.
These people are so easy to trip up. Well, these people are supposedly educated men and women. Jim Jordan. Well, I'll take that back because wasn't Lauren Boebert or whatever the hell her name is. I think she dropped out in about 11th grade, if I'm not mistaken.
Speaking of Lauren Boebert, we're going to crack open that bag of chips. He's talking about Lauren Boebert.
I love
Lauren Boebert is so dumb.
How smart do you have to be to work here?
I was ignorant.
That's Lauren Boebert, a member of Congress from Colorado.
Maybe we need to start having background checks on hammers.
She's not bright.
This is just a publicity stunt?
She dropped out of high school, but eventually got her GED, despite not being able to spell GED.
They are terrified of me and people like me. I was ignorant.
Her husband was arrested for showing his penis to underage girls at a bowling alley.
It's kind of a game of whack-a-mole.
And Boebert was arrested for fighting with cops and charged again when she didn't show for court.
We've got to fight.
She hates socialism, but brags about how she used to get free cheese on welfare. She denies that masks work and thinks the vaccine's a conspiracy.
Don't come knocking on my door with your Fauci outie.
While people in her district are still dying.
Lauren Boebert's Colorado congressional district is now a COVID hot zone.
Her big thing is guns. She was part of the insurrection, giving tours to these monkeys and telling them how to find Pelosi.
They're afraid of you.
Lauren Boebert is dangerously dumb.
This America First agenda.
And she's just warming up.
I love the poorly educated.
Then she's your girl.
Goddamn right.
The revolution.
High five.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your girl.
Boy, I bet she just thought she was making hay with that whole "don't come knocking at my door with your Fauci ouchie." I bet she just thought that was. You know, she thought she was up there at Ed Van Ness comedy level there now.
I'm not sure. Look, I've already been hit once from down under, literally down under, today, and I don't know if I want to take this from a jailbird.
Yeah, well, guess what?
Ooh, look, John, it could be the tweet police.
Your ass is mine if I wind up getting kicked off of this.
That's what scares me because you're an ex-con. You want to toss my salad. And anybody out there that knows what that means, I'm sorry for you. Either you know or you don't.
Pretty much.
But do you not? No, you don't know.
754-800-CHAT, 754-800-2428. If you would like to join into this mix, we'd love to talk. Do you even have the phone plugged in?
Yeah, who cares? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I just checking.
Yeah, keep checking.
Just making sure here.
We're gonna dip into the bag of chips one more time because Chip Franklin, it's like Lay's potato chips. Nobody can have just one.
Donald Trump is making a social media comeback.
Trump is no longer on Facebook or Twitter.
It's a sham.
Because he's a sociopathic liar.
Rigged election.
Whose lies led to violence and an insurrection. Which led to deaths in a 9-month-long investigation. After documented falsehoods while president.
Believe me.
Pig muscle's only form of communication is this stable of butt monkeys.
From Mar-a-Lago.
I loved it. But now Trump is launching his own social media empire. Well, it's an empire in the same way Rudy is a lawyer.
Don't do this to me.
Trump's version of Twitter is called Truth Social, which is like calling Steve Bannon a metrosexual. Will it be successful? Well, that depends. If by success you mean watching Republicans further descend into the pasty jowls of flaccid old white men, well, then I guess it's a hit. But the truth is this. Truth Social will neither be truthful or social, but instead it'll do the previously thought to be impossible. Make us miss Mark Zuckerberg.
You were with prostitutes peeing on each other. Damn right.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
Where is Kamala?
High five.
So, it made me think about something again with this whole deal with Twitter. Now I've told you that I have gone on to this other platform, this Getter.
Get her done.
Yeah, Get Her Done. Yeah, there you go. No play on words there, but I will give them credit for this. I have been a lot nastier on that platform and have not had any ramification. To my knowledge, I haven't logged on to it in about a week. So, but they are a lot more tolerant. Here's the problem when a social media organization, Facebook or Twitter, tries to start regulating things. They wind up regulating things, and people and things slip through the cracks. I'll guarantee you that out there in the Twitter world, there are people every day who are a lot nastier, a lot more vile than my little tweet was. I made one statement. Now, if had I been constantly barking up the tree for 15 minutes after making that statement, I could understand I can understand them getting a little unnerved. I made one statement.
But John, it's like saying I only shot one bullet. One thing can do a lot of damage.
I understand.
I'm not saying they should have, suspended your account or anything like that. I mean, they let Trump go for years and years and years.
Good Lord, yes.
And look, they're a private company. The service is free to you, and they will decide where and when, or even if to have you part of their service. Now, as long as they're not going in and editing content and changing content, because that would be a whole nother thing. But if I don't want you coming into my swimming pool anymore, don't just go away. Don't even enter my backyard. You're not allowed in my swimming pool. So,
well, and you do have a point. I totally, and like their game, their rules. I get it.
That's right.
But it's kind of like those linemen or line judges that half the time can't tell if somebody was out of bounds or in bounds or
Wait a second. First off, they're right super majority of the time, 99% of the time.
You think so?
I think so. But also because they're trained to look for this. But let's face it, sometimes they just can't see what's going on, especially on the sidelines, especially if you're right there by one of the teams. You got bodies and equipment and, forget those people on the sidelines. You might have 3 players converging, going after the ball. Meanwhile, there's the guy with the down marker and the down marker itself, which can obscure the vision. So to say that they can't call it, sometimes you can't call it. You can't see it.
Yeah. Sounds like an excuse to me.
Oh, but it can be with. Oh, no officiating jokes. Well, do you want to make that official, Bill?
I think I've told you that our friend Bill used to be an umpire.
Yeah, I've heard that story. If I remember correctly, the umpire's motto is I call him the way I see him, and if I don't see him, I make him up. Is that how's that sound to you, Bill? Huh? Big boy, last time we heard from you, you were going to get your whooping from your wife. How'd that work out for you? Maybe you're overdue. He said, poking the bear. Now,
and by the way, the number is 754-800-CHAT.
He knows the number. He knows the number. My goodness, he's got it tattooed on his forehead backwards. He, when in doubt, call him out. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. But anyway, where was I? Good God.
Yeah, that's a good question.
One of the things I miss most is my memory. I just.
How about we throw in that piece here now that we're celebrating the fact that the Atlanta Braves have made it to another World Series.
Well, you can preface it. Preface the.
Which brings me back 30 years ago when the Atlanta Braves were playing our Minnesota Twins, the 1991 World Series, and this was going on back then while the Braves were here in town. Let me pull this up real quick because I'm nowhere near it.
Hi, Kenny. Thank you. On a serious note, the World Series has drawn a crowd outside the Metrodome. This is a coalition organized by the Twin Cities-based American Indian Movement and includes a number of civil rights activists who have come to demonstrate against what they call a stereotypic and warlike depiction of Native Americans, especially when it comes to fans, they say, who don war paint and Indian headdress and perform the now famous tomahawk chop.
If the black athletes, these great men who we know are the best of the best, come into our town here, if they were to see cartoons of Sambo or Amos and Andy between innings being shown on the big screen, they would be outraged.
I think anytime there's a significant group of Americans who are concerned about something in baseball, we have to respond, and we will.
Owner Ted Turner declined to comment, but club president Stan Kasten had this to say
all
earlier.
All of us in the organization, on the field and off the field, have worked all our adult lives to get here. And we're going to focus only on that for the rest of the series. And then when the series is over, we can sit down and address any issue with whatever seriousness it deserves.
But as a human being, do you understand their point anyway?
Like all other questions on the subject, we're going to hold off any discussion until after the series is over. Right now, we're just going to concentrate on baseball for the rest of the week.
The best way to take care of the chop is 4 straight for the Minnesota Twins. So we're not above cheering our own team on, but we do it in a respectful manner.
Well, as it wasn't 4 straight, it was a 7-game series. Great series, one of the best World Series in history. And yes, Ken, the Minnesota Twins did win that series, by the way, in 7 games. Great baseball, but yeah, you know and I don't know if there's any the World Series is going to be between Houston and Atlanta this year. I don't think you're going to see any Native Americans protesting down there in Houston. Although you never know, I've heard of stranger things. So,
well, I mean, what with the Cleveland baseball team changing its name, the Guardians. And the Washington football team will be announcing its new name probably at the end of this season. I think it'll probably be, although the name Braves itself that's not a slur. There's nothing, it's the imagery that goes with it. And I can see, you get rid of the screaming,
the tomahawk chop.
Right. Get rid of all of that. And look, if you have to change the name, again, Braves name in and of itself is not, hey, change it to the Atlanta Squaws. Squaws? Squaw. I can't even say it.
Squaw is what you're trying to say.
Squaw. That's what I'm trying to say. But
not to be confused with a squall line.
No.
that comes in with the weather system.
Change it to the Atlanta Twitter jailbirds. Look around, John. Look around.
But you could go. We've had this discussion a multitude of times.
We have.
I mean, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. You could even go even a little bit further. You could go hockey, the Blackhawks.
Yes.
And these are just for Native American references.
Now, here's one I need explained to me. Somebody's tried to explain this to me once, but I didn't get it. I always thought Canuck was a slur for Canadian in general. And then they went and named the team the Canucks. So I'm still very confused about the Canucks. I just... Oh, and by the way, to the NHL, ESPN, Hulu, Disney, and everybody else, the Seattle Kraken had their very, very first home game last night, and you put it only on a pay service? You had to pay to get it? So for one game, you can't put it, let all of Seattle, you're trying to generate interest in this team. Well, by the way, I watched their very first game, and they played pretty well. They lost, but they played pretty well. I know they were 1-1-1 at one point, and I don't know what the outcome of last night was. But you got the first puck drop, a lot of the first home game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why not let the entire Seattle metro area watch this? It's just that's not how you generate interest.
And you know that the play-by-play, television play-by-play, first thing that was said when they came on the air.
Oh boy!
Welcome to the crack house, ladies and gentlemen.
God, I'm gonna have to endure that every time I talk about Seattle hockey. They're coming for you, John. They're coming for you. Be that as it may. I wish them all the best up there in Seattle. I'm adapting to the name. I'm adjusting to it. I wasn't a fan at first. I'm still, yeah, Bill, we'll take as much of that as you can, even more than you can spare. You know the address. Just send it along.
And
yes,
you know what Seattle hockey fans are called now, right?
Oh God.
Crackheads.
I'm going to call the Secret Service on you.
I think Mike Lindell might be their mascot.
I think so. They do have some sharp uniforms, though.
They do. Nice. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But uniforms don't win the game for you.
Well,
but
not everybody can be the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh, there's a team. Remember, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals their first year.
Yep.
The best game I ever watched was Game 3 of that series with the Capitals. And I don't watch a lot of hockey anymore, but boy, I was glued to that for the entire game. And I can tell you the last time I sat through an entire game by myself. But it's hockey, eh? If you got hockey near you, go see it, eh? It's if you've never been to a live hockey game, no matter what level, NHL, semi-pro, whatever it is, I highly recommend you go, you see it. To watch it in an arena is such a vastly different experience. It really is about the sights and the sounds, more the sounds of the blades on the ice, the puck hitting the stick, the guys banging into each other, banging into the boards. It is a completely different thing. Bring a jacket, okay? There's literally hundreds of tons of ice on the floor. You will feel it.
Oh yes,
I loved, this time of year or spring. Especially when it started getting warm down in South Florida, great thing to do was go to a Panthers game. It's 75 degrees at night. It's muggy. You walk into the arena.
Breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air, baby. That's hockey. Hockey is the great American sport that's from Canada. Don't you know?
You know, I've never been to a Minnesota Wild game yet.
You should go. You seriously. I'm very serious. Treat yourself. Treat the wife. Treat the kids. Treat everybody. No, seriously. Go to a game. You will. It is like a religious experience. You will have a whole new view of hockey.
I think Rolando might still be on board here listening. He'll remember back in the days of our childhood when we were not only lucky enough to have the Minnesota North Stars back then. I don't believe I ever went to a North Stars game.
Oh, let's stop right there. Have you ever been to a hockey game?
Yes, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay. Well,
take a sedative. Take a sedative. I'm getting to it.
Man,
we had a team in St. Paul with the old WHA.
Oh, the St. Paul Saints.
The Minnesota Fighting Saints is what they were.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
First off, one of the coolest logos for a breezer, for a jersey, excuse me. And they played it at the St. Paul Civic Center, which was the only hockey arena that I knew of that had totally transparent boards all the way around, not just the glass, but the boards were also transparent.
Yeah, the dasher boards, the
dasher board. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and that was
I've never even heard of that.
That is, Google that one of these times. That was.
Can we put
that
the
was
show
a lot
on
of fun. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, I'll put the show on hold so you can give me the picks there. Your picks there, but I forgot. Would you please? No, that was a great time. We'd Fuzzy or Rolando and I and
whoa. No.
Yeah, Rolando's
whoa. Fuzzy.
That was Rolando's nickname. Right. He still goes by that.
Really?
Yes,
Fuzzy.
He still goes. No, I went to a multitude of games with the family there.
I would tune in at your own risk next week, Rolando. Fuzzy.
Oh, that we had
between you and Naked Jailbird here. It's gonna be a good week. Gonna be a good week.
You'll forget about it. Hell, I had to remind you. Literally had to remind you pre-show that you wanted to.
I wrote it down.
Oh,
coming for you. Oh boy!
I miss the WHA, and people might remember that there were a couple of teams from the WHA that made it to the NHL. The Winnipeg Jets, the defunct Hartford New England Whalers. They're not defunct. They've moved someplace. I forget where.
Carolina.
Oh, is that Carolina's? Yeah.
Yeah, Carolina Hurricanes.
I wonder why that. I guess maybe it had something to do with the fact that the Bruins were such a big draw in the Boston area. What? Okay, you tell me why did
Hartford's in Connecticut?
Yeah, but it's still New England.
Yeah, but it was closer to New York than it was.
Well, there's always that. Hey, folks, it's I guess it's time to say goodbye. So I'm going to say goodbye for that guy over there, Ed Van Ness. I'm John Shannon, and I got the money.
Please stop. You talk too much.
See ya.
I can't believe the things that you say every day. If you keep on talking, baby, you know you're bound to drive me away. Yes, if you keep on talking, baby, you know you're bound to drive me away. Yes. Yes, dear. Yes, I'm listening. Oh, I heard every word you said, honey. Yes. Yes, dear. Oh, I agree. You're right. Yeah, you're always right, baby. Yes, dear.